Hi, how are you? Chicago, in the 1983 was the election of the first African American mayor, Harold Washington, and many people were involved in his campaign. My friend's kind of social milieu, and in the aftermath, when he died, many people went into his administration in the city government, and it was a very marked departure from business as usual before, because in Chicago there was a long history of administration from Mayor Daley, who's sort of well known from 1968 riots. And,
Right.
he had a very bad reputation for law and order, and also during that time there were two Black Panthers who were killed in Chicago, and when they went to examine the murder scene, they found that the story that the police had told was not accurate. And in the climate of all of that, kind of as a reaction to that, Harold Washington was elected. And it marked a big shift in the city between kind of an old guard and a new guard. So when he died in 1987, Hothouse honored him with a multidisciplinary performance memorial service.
So you had created art house much before.
No, this was when we created it
You created
to celebrate his life, basically. So the first program we had was called the All Chicago Artist Tribute to Harold Washington, and it was symbolic because it was really the first time that you had kind of Mexican immigrants, Romania. I mean, kind of this broad coalition of people who were, for the first time, sort of present in a more visual, with authority within sort of the city. So Hothouse existed as a physical space from 1987 through 2007. So for 20 years it was thriving cultural center. We had 500 programs a year. 70,000 people a year came. It was really significant. And then kind of that sort of launched the organization as an official nonprofit. And before, the other thing that was significant in my own life is that I had gone around the world in the 1970s overland, and when I came back to the US, I felt like I was very disassociated somehow, and I still feel that way. But I met some musicians that were part of a collective called the AACM, which stood for the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians. And part of that collective was known, people who are known sort of famously for being part of the collective were the Art Ensemble of Chicago and Anthony Braxton and many other people in Chicago. So that became sort of a cultural home for me, having relationships with these musicians. And so the two things sort of coincided in 1987 with Harold dying and my relationship to these musicians by establishing a performance center. There's a lot of lip service about diversity and multicultural isms, but I think that it is somewhat of a threat to have this kind of congregation of cross-sectors of the culture that really get to know one another and sort of demystify the other and build relationships. But that was sort of what we were very good at. And the other thing, we are building a green space. I know, it's like... So the idea is to take this lots, which are 8 vacant lots and an old garage, and to turn the garage into a small performing arts center with a black box theater and a restaurant. And then the 8 vacant lots are green space with a greenhouse. Put a greenhouse so people can have community dinners inside. And then part of the land would be sort of a very small amphitheater, like a natural amphitheater for after-school performances. People come
Very
and
nice.
so it's a very really different idea than usually happens, and it's a little bit difficult because it's rather the vision is a little ambitious and not very traditional. So we've been working on it for a while.
So you need to make sure that the community will accept that space,
Well-
a space where people can gather from, and you want people from every kind of social background and ethnicity, so
Yes.
it's going to be
Yes.
transition, based on
Yes.
this transition.
Yes, but I think it's not so much the convincing the community, meaning African Americans that live around there, but it's more because Hothouse had a long relationship with that. We're doing Chicago Guantanamo Blues Exchange, so we're taking musicians from Chicago, blues musicians, to Guantanamo, Cuba, and we are setting up afternoons where they play with musicians in Cuba, and then bringing musicians to Chicago. So we are raising the money to take about 6 people that probably wouldn't go otherwise, and so that's what one of the projects that we do.
So you managed to raise money also among, I guess, a lot of private people, contractors.
Well, it's
You try, or
it's-
you have the seed. It's just curious, what's the balance between private and public?
Well, when we had our venue open from 87 to 2007, 85% of our income was public. So that meant you sold drinks, you bought a ticket, 85% was through the public. 15% was grant proposals and philanthropy.
Wow.
Now, without a space, that ratio is completely inverted. So, right now, we're very dependent on philanthropy because we don't have a bar. So, liquor sales used to really support the programming, and we do a lot of non-commercial programs, which it's almost impossible to pay for that just from a ticket. The economy of the ticket prices is a corrupt economy. So, I mean, I think
Also, you should not be, obliged to have to sell tickets. You should be able to have a space where people can come because they need to see the program and have support from.
well, that's an interesting question that I've thought about for a long time. Because, for instance, in Chicago, there's many free programs. There's a beautiful park in the center of the city where they have great programs throughout the summer for free. And a lot of times it's sort of a competition for our club because why would you pay when you go for free? So I've often thought, should things be free? Should they have a ticket? Does having a ticket put a certain value that otherwise is missing? And is that important to say in a way? Because I do think there might be some correlation to that. I'm not sure. But, I think that to me, there is a correlation between, let's say, a ticket that's $5 and let's say $50. And somehow you're saying that the ticket for $50 signals to you that there's something better about this artist than the one that might be $5.
No,
No.
but it cut out a possible audience that might be
Yes.
interested to include because they might have something to say. They might, make the discussion about that piece of art, whatever it is, more interesting. Just because you come from a different background. I don't know, perhaps we should have a way to be able to say, well, if your income is so and so, you should pay a little bit more, like
Yeah.
and
Sliding scale.
students, I mean, they have student tickets in most places, but, rate, but I'm in favor of, I'm probably again, because I'm from Switzerland, I'm in favor of the government supporting, art institutions and making those art institutions available for everybody. But then the richest people with higher taxes pay for it. So they don't have to pay the ticket, but they pay for the tax.
Yeah.
And then of course you have a lot of tourists that don't pay the ticket, don't pay anything, but do.
Yeah. Well, they
If they
can
cross
show
the
their
border, they should pay.
show their passport or something. No, that's actually a good system, I think. What you're suggesting.
Of course, doesn't work here.
Well,
Because
we can work toward it. We could be aspirational in our thinking. We can continue to argue for that, even if it doesn't happen. We can still keep putting the idea forward, I think. But anyway, I think it's an interesting area to work. I think there's a lot involved in the production of arts programming. I think there's a lot of kind of inherent, intrinsic points of agitation that can be wrapped into that kind of work. So not only giving voice or who's in and who's out, but also sort of this messy, like spontaneous things that happen where you don't know who's you're gonna meet. And, anyway.